the customer experience, when it comes to aviation, starts with the airport company to a large extent, because that's the enclave, that everybody would come through to be able to now check in and board and, fly out of the country. If the airport experience is not good enough, and that has to do with a lot of different things. To a large extent, a lot of people don't even understand the role the airport company plays. So typically, it's all about the airline. But the truth is, the airline has a limited role to play when it comes to that experience. Once you're checked in, between your check-in and boarding the flight is all about the airport company. We do not have a good experience in Nigeria to a large extent because, like we've talked about already, the airport experience is poor because the ambience is not okay. The capacity throughput is not, what we have as designed for has been overstretched. So of course it means that, the comfort level that you expect to have as a passenger is not what you get. The other thing, talking about what Tony just mentioned earlier, the government is looking at the ease of doing business. In most parts of our system, different agencies have been known to create fiefdoms. If you get to the airport, you have layers and layers of security operatives, very little role to play as far as aviation is concerned. But they found their ways to their airport, to our airports. So before you can have a situation where you can get them to move away from the airport, then you're now fighting different entities. I know the government has set up a sort of a group called the Ease of Doing Business Group. I think it's championed by the Vice President, and you have the Minister of Trade and Investment and Industry, Dr. Doris Anite, as a member, driving the entire focus. And I know from experience, having worked with her closely as well, that certain departments of government are resistant to wanting to leave the airport. They have very little business at the airport, but they tell you, why they need to be there. We have NDLEA, we have customs, we have a civil defense corps, we have quarantine, that's health port services, there's AVSEC by FAN, there's DSS. So when you look at immigration, customs, when you look at all of these people, pretty much we could have one face. And we proposed, even from the Presidential Advisory Council, to have what you call a border force. And that border force will be just a simple face that addresses everything, rather than have this plethora of agencies. So that itself is a problem. So when you talk about exports, for instance, the number of entities you have to, NAVDAC and the rest of them, when you're exporting goods out of a country, it's defeated because you have to overcome all the barriers put in your way by all of these people and the taxes, which makes it almost impossible. So government, in its drive to ease the business, to ease business being done in the country, came up with this idea of having the committee to drive that process. They're working. How successful they will get, I'm not sure, but we're still, it's like I said, it's a work in progress.
Right.
But that said, consumer experience at our airports is largely a function of services provided by the airport company and very little about the airline. Because airlines in Nigeria, for instance, don't even have lounges. So if you're checked in as a business class passenger or a first class passenger, you probably don't have a lounge by the domestic carriers. Whereas international airlines have lounges at the airport. So these are things we're trying to address so that there will be some sort of a better experience by the consumers in the longer term. But let's see how it is. Government comes up with what they're trying to do with facilitating business. I think that will be a first step in ensuring that an experience by the consumers can be better enhanced.
Awesome. I personally must appreciate you both for making the time to join us today. I have not only just been able to reorientate my thoughts or refresh my thoughts and knowledge of the aviation sector, but also seeing a whole lot of opportunities that, really not too deep in heavy infrastructural deployments that we can actually start with. And again, I would remind us, we thank all our attendees. This is not just a business conversation. This is a call to action by the Nigerian diaspora community, leveraging the expertise, of course, of individuals like myself, my colleagues within NAPAC CDI. Our goal, again, is to galvanize the momentum of our diaspora expertise, complement efforts of individuals and professionals like Captain Yayi and Mr. Tony on ground in Nigeria, bringing our strategic synergetic efforts together to complement and impact projects and programs that are critical to the advancement of our economy. I'm pretty excited that we've not just only identified some of the challenges, but we've also preferred opportunities to potential investors and also identified some of the low-hanging efforts that we can start putting in. And for me, the airport company service improvement is actually one that I think we can start rolling out. It's good that the government can put, committees and councils together, but while these individuals are actually working, we can begin to practicalize some of the initiatives that we think they should obviously look into. That's the way I believe, things work. From an R&D point of view, if, as you would probably say in the developed world, this is how people finally, scale particular initiatives. When you actually ignore the place of research and development or testings, then of course what we keep having is a situation where try and error is what you keep saying, hearing our folks say. So I do appreciate a lot of the things that you've said, Captain Iai and Mr. Tony. We will definitely be following up with you. Again, this is not just a conversation or just a show of our expertise. No, it's really a call to action, leveraging again our political will, our economic strength, and of course, leverage of the influence of some of our host country government as well to improve and impact, our home country, Nigeria, by default extension, Africa as a whole. So at this point, we will be wrapping up, but not without taking our final comments from our guest. Again, you're listening to us from the NAPAC CDI studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. A closing remark from our guest, and we'll be done in a few. Mr. Tony, you go first, please.
So thank you for the opportunity, Said, and the whole NAPAC CDI initiative for having us here. We are very passionate about our sector, and just like I said at the beginning, that aviation is a socio-economic driver. We are hoping that all hands will be on deck to make sure that the deficit we have the aviation sector will be sorted. I've heard some promising words from Captain. Of course, he has some insight that I don't have, and I'm hoping that the government is sensitive enough to look at this area and have the willpower to bring the positive changes that we need to make sure that the sector will catalyze that sector and then grow our nation's GDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. We're glad to have you, and we'll be following up too. Captain Yai, closing remark from you, sir.
Again, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to encourage us to believe that Nigeria holds tremendous potential. And I say that with all optimism. I know what we have on ground, but if everybody believes that indeed it can be done, I believe it will get done. Importantly, a lot of people see this and talk about all the issues in Nigeria, but hey, in the midst of all the problems, you have all the opportunities. I think the most important thing is to take that initial step to look at the possibilities that can be achieved if you took that first step. So I'd advise and admonish people to say, listen, the opportunities exist here in Nigeria, and you cannot go wrong putting your money where your mouth is to a large extent. I mean, some of us have done it. Yes, you could have a few hiccups, but importantly, when you start, then you get to see the vista and the opportunities there for you to explore. And I believe it is only when we all come back to contribute our quota that we can see this great nation move forward in the right direction. And I implore everybody to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That's a very positive way to wrap it up. Again, this is the NAPAC CDI Business Talk. It's a monthly webinar series coming to you from NAPAC Capacity Development Initiative, a for-profit entity based out here in the United States, also registered in Nigeria, to galvanize the diaspora expertise and talents to complement projects and, of course, explore the business opportunities within Nigeria. We are excited about this. We're highly motivated by it. We encourage a lot of our diaspora professionals to visit our website. We're currently building a strong database of professionals across the globe that we would be leveraging on your expertise to implement our home country. We don't all have to be on ground in Nigeria, but we can always utilize your expertise with individuals like ourselves and, of course, partners like Captain Yaya and Mr. Tony on ground in Nigeria to make sure whatever sector, whatever projects we embark upon are not just only executed, but also sustained and maintained for the long run. This is a lifetime goal of ours. We're very committed to this. We couldn't have said it any better than our guest as well, that we all have to believe. And we do believe, and this is the reason why we are calling out to each and everyone. As you can see in my background right here, it was strategic to use this background today because, yes, this is the developed world, but this is likely not going to be what you will see in the next couple of years because things are evolving out here. And our home country has an opportunity to do the same. We obviously appreciate some of our sponsors who have actually been a part of, today's event. If you want to partner with us, please feel free to reach out. We look forward to our partnership and collaboration, with you. We call on each and every government representative as well to yield the call of the professional network that they have obviously set up, but also that, we do have in our Rolodex to be able to complement some of their effort. And we will be reaching out. So again, to all our guests, we appreciate you for taking time to join us today. Please make use of the chat box and leave your information in there. Some of the questions that were posted are some of the questions that I've actually taken. Some of the questions that we weren't able to reach, we would ensure to reach out to you individually. If you leave your contact details in there, we would follow up with you. And at this point in time, I most appreciate you all. Look forward to further correspondence from us ahead of next month's webinar. You just never know what we're going to pull out. And may I also, on behalf of the last guest, that's Ms. Toyin, the Chief Operation Officer of Air Peace. She actually was going to make it, but as you know, based on the kind of job that she holds, there could be an emergency that happens at any given point in time. So she basically is currently en route to on an international trip, and the reason why she couldn't make it here today. So she did extend an apology, and we're sure we'll be getting her to, share her thoughts as well as at least one of the carriers and flight operators on ground from there to get their perspective and subsequent webinars that we would have. So at this point, I would hand it over to my Chief Operation Officer, Dr. Veronica. Thank you all. I'm again Sayed Adelair. See you in a couple of days.
So, wow, fabulous, fabulous experience. I see if you have time, everyone, just look at all the great questions, comments on the chat, in the chat room. We want to thank our awesome guests today, Captain Roland Yayi, for your time. It's precious. Time is the most valuable thing anyone can give to anyone. And your wisdom. Thank you. We learned a lot today. The solar fans, the identify and so on, the ICT need. And Mr. Tony Ukachukwu, thank you so much for your precious time. CDI, NAPAC CDI, really appreciate your time and your talent today. You can see lots of questions. I know that people are eager to find out how they can join, what they can do. And you gave lots of answers. We hope to get those questions to you that couldn't get answered so that we can float that back to the public because they're very eager to hear your perspective on those questions that they posted. So thank you, thank you. Thank you everyone on the platform for being here. NAPAC CDI does this every first Saturday of the month from 8:30 to 9:30. We are trying to open opportunities for us to take great business back to Africa, back to Nigeria, and give you the opportunity to contribute to this brain drain that's happening in Nigeria. Lots of businesses are eager to work with us as well. So please tell your friends, join us next Saturday. Our host, Mr. Said Adeleye, a phenomenal moderator, and today was no exception. Thank you so much, Madam CEO, Mr. Dawati, our management team. Thank you. Our web mistress, Mrs. Rahanatu Abubakar. Thank you for being here. All of you, thank you so much. My name again is Dr. Veronica Fuebene. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of NAPAC CDI. Thank you. And I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
Okay, cheers.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
awesome. Thank you so much. Lots of knowledge today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.